The morning sun rose over the burning sands of the Sahel as a convoy of trucks rolled into a remote village in Burkina Faso. At first glance, this didn't look unusual. 23 trucks under the banner of an international aid organization. Painted in bold letters on the side. Relief supplies for drought victims. To the naked eye, they carried rice, medicine, and school materials. But the truth was far darker. For 6 hours, President Ibrahim Traoré had been tracking this convoy after receiving a chilling phone call at 3 a.m. On the other end of the line, a trembling voice whispered, "Sir, these rice sacks are far heavier than they should be. Bags, labeled 50 kilos, are weighing close to 200. The convoy number is 447 HC. Please, you must check them." The caller was not a soldier, not an officer, just a humble dock worker named Simul Diallo. For 3 months he had silently observed, torn between fear and conscience. That night, he finally gathered the courage to reveal the truth. Traoré knew instantly this was no ordinary matter. And so, when the convoy halted, he moved forward. With 12 soldiers at his side, the lead driver, Marcos Konate, was visibly pale. He had played this game for years, ferrying aid across the Sahel. But this time, the mask was about to be ripped away, when the president's voice thundered, "Open the doors, or we'll cut them open." Konate's hands shook violently. The lock was broken, and inside, rows of immaculate white sacks appeared, stamped, "Enriched rice 50 kilograms." The smell of rice filled the air. Everything seemed legitimate. But Traoré's instincts told him otherwise. He pointed to one sack near the bottom. "That one! Bring it out!" 2 soldiers struggled to lift it. The moment it dropped to the ground, the thud was far too heavy, metallic. A knife sliced through the outer layer. At first, yes, rice poured out. But when the president dug his hand deeper, he felt something solid. When he pulled it free, gasps erupted. It was a gleaming gold bar. Stamped with a serial number, within seconds, more bars were revealed, hidden under the rice. The horrifying truth unraveled. Beneath the mask of humanitarian aid lay the largest smuggling operation in African history. The soldiers' eyes blazed with fury. These were men whose own relatives were starving in drought-stricken villages, watching aid convoys roll past them. They had been told this was food for their people. But in reality, it was gold. Billions of dollars in stolen wealth, being shipped abroad. "Search every truck," Traoré commanded. "Cut open every bag." For 4 relentless hours, the soldiers worked. Sack after sack revealed the same scene. A thin cover of rice masking mountains of gold. By the time the last truck was emptied, the scale was staggering. 920 tons of gold, valued at $58 billion. But the true shock came when they calculated further. This convoy wasn't the first. For 7 years, twice a month, these shipments had crossed the borders unhindered. That meant 336 convoys had already passed. At the same rate, nearly 20,000 tons of Africa's gold had been stolen, worth trillions. Driver. Konate collapsed, weeping on the ground. In interrogation, he confessed. 7 years ago, he had been recruited by a foreign woman, Helena Richter, presenting herself as a logistics coordinator for the International Aid Coalition. She offered him $10,000 per trip. For a poor man supporting 12 family members, it felt like salvation. He never asked questions. But Traoré knew this was bigger than one driver. This was a global network. He immediately invoked Protocol 7, Burkina Faso's emergency lockdown. Borders sealed, airports closed, no one in, no one out. Still, the president's face hardened. This was just the beginning. When troops stormed Helena Richter's office, they found only a frightened secretary, Mari Bongo. She revealed the office had been cleared 3 hours earlier, but Mari had quietly collected records, suspecting corruption. What she handed over shocked the president. Helena Richter was no aid worker. She was, in fact, Maria Wolf, a former Russian intelligence officer, presumed dead 5 years ago. Her second-in-command? James Mitchell, a disgraced Chinese geologist specializing in rare minerals. Together, they orchestrated the smuggling empire. But the deadliest revelation came from one image, a video call between Helena and a man referred to only as the director. When Traoré saw the picture, his heartbeat stopped. It was Robert Mahama, deputy director of the Pan-African Mineral Oversight Authority, the very man responsible for preventing smuggling. The room fell silent. The fox was guarding the henhouse. The man sworn to protect Africa's wealth was the one stealing it. Raids were launched on Mahama's homes and offices. Empty. Computers destroyed. He had fled. But after a sweeping manhunt, he was finally cornered in a lavish mansion registered under a dead Lebanese trader's name. As soldiers stormed in, Mahama was burning documents, destroying hard drives, trying to erase the trail. He failed. What investigators recovered revealed a nightmare. This was not just gold smuggling. It was an economic war, running for 50 years. Thousands of small miners were forced to sell gold for scraps, only for it to be refined, rebranded with fake cereals, and laundered worldwide under the disguise of aid convoys. And it wasn't only gold. Diamonds, uranium, cobalt, rare earth elements vital for smartphones, laptops, and advanced weapons. Africa's wealth had been bleeding into foreign hands while its people starved. When Mahama was interrogated, he sneered, "You caught one convoy. Hundreds more are moving. I am nothing but one man. You will never win this war." But Traoré's voice was steady. "Maybe I won't win the war, but I will win this battle." And sometimes, one battle is enough to change the course of history. His words ignited a movement. Operation Justice was launched. Hidden refineries uncovered. Enslaved workers, many children, were freed from toxic furnaces where they had been imprisoned for years. Some fell to their knees, kissing the earth, in relief. Others wept as they saw sunlight for the first time in a decade. Testimonies poured in. Names of judges, generals, ministers, all complicit in the scheme. It was no longer a crime investigation. It was a declaration of war against the system itself. International media exploded. Africa's largest gold scandal exposed. Western governments scrambled to deny involvement, claiming rogue actors were to blame. But Traoré faced the nation boldly. "They've looted us for decades while pretending to help us. But the time has come when Africa will guard its own wealth." Court trials began. Whistleblowers emerged. A Chinese-American geologist testified with 2 decades of records. Every convoy, every transaction, every murder committed to keep the secret buried. The evidence was overwhelming. At last, the facade crumbled. The aid trucks had never carried salvation. They carried chains, chains of poverty, corruption, and exploitation. And now, those chains had been broken. President Ibrahim Traoré declared before the world, "This fight is not only for our resources, it is for our dignity, our future, and the generations yet to come." And with Robert Mahama in custody, the first stone of a corrupt empire had finally fallen.